Welcome to the Innovation Meets Leadership podcast. Real inspiration for real innovators. If you're looking for innovation and leadership transformation, your journey starts now.
Welcome to the Innovation Meets Leadership podcast. I'm your host, Natalie Born. If you're enjoying innovation insights that we're providing, we would love for you to hit that subscribe button so that other innovators like you can find us. Follow Innovation Meets Leadership for more innovation trends and strategies and real-world examples of today's innovators. And speaking of today's innovators, I'm really excited to introduce you guys to Grace Chadwick. She's the COO of Crumbl Cookie. And if you know anything about Crumbl, it's just an incredible brand. So I'm so excited today. We're going to dive into her background. It's extensive. She's been over 21 years in the food industry, working with Burger King, Chick-fil-A, and now Crumbl. Grace, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Natalie. I'm so excited to be here and hopefully share some insights with your incredible audience.
Absolutely. Well, let's start with the idea of your background and even how you got to where you are today. When we had an opportunity to catch up, it was really, really insightful and inspiring just to hear your journey. And what I loved about it is it wasn't just a cookie cutter journey, if you will. Like there were some twists and turns and some interesting things about your journey. So I'd love to start there.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if I'm unique or if most people experiences like mine. I feel like I got where I am a little bit by happenstance, a little bit just by the passion that I feel for this industry. But when I went to college, I really didn't know what I wanted to do coming out of it. I just knew that I loved business. And as such, I started my career in consulting, which I knew nothing about, but it taught me so much. I did technology for several years working with different clients. And actually, a client of mine then recruited me to go and work for them. And that's how I got to the food industry. This client of mine asked me to come and join him at Burger King. And at the time, as I said, I knew nothing about the industry, but I got there, same thing, doing technology, which is what I had been doing and implementing systems. And at that time, I had the opportunity to go there, and they hired me to do this position. Well, very quickly, I learned that my position really was not going to be what I imagined, and they said that the role they hired me to do, they couldn't actually keep it. So I had to pivot very quickly and transfer to do something else in the technology area. So that's when I learned everything about the POS system, which is, the retail system that restaurants and food businesses use to take orders. And I led that implementation for all their company restaurants. And as I said, it was there where I fell in love with the restaurant industry. I feel it's a very noble business where you can see the entire business cycle in one day. What the, raw materials that come into a restaurant to make the food and then deliver the food and serve it to the customers and then get the feedback right away. So I feel like that's one of the many things that I love about the industry. But yeah, I really got here by, just rolling with the punches sometimes, getting into projects that nobody imagined. After that, I had the incredible opportunity to go to Chick-fil-A. And I studied finance. I haven't done finance after my graduation. As I said, I was doing tech. But then I was able to get into that and lead their analytics, which was also very amazing and fascinating. It was a very small team when I came, and then they gave me tons of opportunities to get into that world, and I really enjoyed it. So my path definitely has not been a very planned one, but I feel like when you say yes, I'm willing to learn more or see if I can figure things out, then more things can come your way. And that has certainly been true to me.
Yeah. I love your journey of just continuous learning and curiosity. Like that seems like a really core part of your personality to just get into something, be very curious about it, and then to build on it from there. And from Chick-fil-A, you ended up going over to Crumbl, and I'd love to spend a minute or two on that.
Yeah, so Chick-fil-A is an amazing company. I really never thought about leaving Chick-fil-A. And to be honest, when I heard about Crumbl and they contacted me, I didn't know much about Crumbl, but I just happened to have a teenage daughter that knew a lot more about Crumbl than I knew about Crumbl. So she educated me a lot on, the company and what her friends were saying. And I just thought, wow, this is incredible. I can't believe this brand. And for those of us that have been in the food industry, Do you know that it is very challenging? So when I heard that Crumbl had a menu that was amazing and that rotated every single week, I was like, no, like that can't be true. This is almost very impossible to execute. So, not just that, but of course the company, their values and what they do really started to fascinate me. And as I said, I never thought I'd leave Chick-fil-A, but at the end I was like, well, maybe I can do some new things too, right? Challenge
Mm.
myself again and go learn a different part of our industry, give back and hopefully teach others what I've learned, but also learn a lot, right? Because every place is different. So that's kind of like how I got here.
Well, it's interesting when I think about that rotating menu. I mean, that is one of the brilliances and the innovations of Crumbl in and of itself is this rotating menu. But maybe you could help us appreciate a little bit more for those of us who don't have this vast background in food industry, like how hard that actually is. I mean, that is, and then you're innovating at scale, right? So not only are you innovating, but then you have to scale it to all of these locations.
Yeah, so it is pretty hard. In fact, I think Natalie, when you and I were chatting, I told you that for those, some people may not know this concept, but in Atlanta, we have this concept called Seasons 52. Incredible food. I love it. One of the chefs there wanted to do a weekly menu. That's why he called it Seasons 52, because 52 weeks in the year. But it is very challenging to execute. So actually, I believe Seasons 52 has a seasonal menu. I don't know if
Mhm.
it changes every quarter, but it definitely doesn't change every week because it is very hard. So supply chain wise is very challenging. And then, as you know, when you have so many stores that are dispersed, you have to train every single one of those bakers in a new menu every single week and ensure that the execution is consistent and as perfect as possible, given everything that's changing. So it is really hard to execute at. You have to have incredible training. Your training needs to be ready every single week. And it needs to be delivered in a way that people can absorb it, as I said, as fast as possible. Because as soon as that week changes, you need to start baking a whole new set of products. And baking is very precise. I love food, but cooking is a little bit more forgiving. So
Mhm.
we had to create a lot of things, both from the training, the technology, how to deliver it, how to make sure it's not crashing, and how to course correct if we find any errors in our training. We're not infallible. We make mistakes like everybody else, but how do you recover from those quickly is obviously very important.
Yeah, I mean, this is to me, it's the brilliance of Crumbl. As a matter of fact, I have a friend, a good friend of mine who just went through surgery, and I was so excited to be able to order her some Crumbl cookies. And I was shocked at how seamless and beautiful the infrastructure was, the website, in order to select what I wanted to send her, gift wrap it, send it to her, and just how smooth and easy that was. And so it's you guys are looking at so many fronts, right? It's the innovation front in your menu, it's the ease of use with your technology. You're very well known for social media, but behind that, there has to be this underpinning of continuous improvement and operational excellence. And so how many locations are you guys in now? Is it over 1,000 franchises?
Yes. So as of today, I believe we have about 1,200 locations
Wow.
more or less. We are in the US, Canada, and Puerto Rico. And yeah, it's the scaling is definitely a very challenging thing. And we're just so grateful, obviously, to the teams here and to all of our operators, franchise partners, and really all of the managers and bakers out there that really they do the hard work every single day, right? We obviously have the responsibility to prepare them, but at the end, they're executing every single day in those locations.
Yeah. So talk about like what role does technology play? I heard you talk about, it's probably very critical for how you deploy technology every week or training every week rather, but are there any other ways that you feel like technology really underpins this experience that people have? Because it's kind of cult like the way that people love Crumble. And like you said, when we drive past it, my daughters are like, Crumble, Crumble, pull in. So it's just created this excitement around what you guys do because the menu changes, because it's a good experience when people walk into a store.
Yeah, so technology plays a pivotal role in everything that we do. We are very blessed in a way to be a new brand, right? Because as I said, I've been in the industry forever, and at least none of the other brands that I ever work with have had the luxury to be able to build their own systems from scratch for pretty much everything we do here at Crumbl and to operate the stores. So we have our own POS system. We build it from scratch and pretty much all the technology that we use to run the stores is, for the most part, built by our engineers here and our developers, etc. So, what that gives us is the flexibility to execute this crazy menu because when you need to change the menu board every single week, so in most restaurants, those menu boards are challenging. A lot of restaurants don't have the menu or the menu boards be digital, even though digital has been in existence for quite a bit, right? So you have to be able to change that, right? Coordinate that well, ensure that, nothing is missing, that when that menu rotates, as well as, of course, in our app. And then you have to have all the recipes ready to be executed. So we have different apps for different running different parts of our store. We have many different stations within our bakeries. And for all of those, we need to have the adequate training ready. And we manage all that with technology because, as you know, we live in a world where technology now pretty much is indispensable for everything that we do and is no different for us to run our operations. And when technology goes wrong, it also causes a lot of things because technology is also not, infallible. Things happen, it can go down or things can change and it becomes like how fast can we recover because it's a stressor and then a very bad situation when something's down and it happens, right? Not just us, of course we build our own technology, but as you know, we depend also on many other things, can components of technology to go well to be able to be up and running all the time.
Mhm. Yeah, it's interesting when you think about your one of your core values here at Crumble. I mean, innovation's right there at the center of it, along with the customer. I mean, these two things are so important, and they seem like they really feed off of each other in terms of how they work together. What would you say are some ways that you balance kind of the team, the customer, and innovation? Because all of those things are so important to the heart of the business of what you guys do, and yet every week you guys are surprising and delighting the customer with these new menu items. So how do you kind of balance all that and stay true to who you guys are called to be?
Yeah, that is so important to us. First and foremost, our company was founded on the customer. If you think about it, our two founders are really amazing individuals. They have very different strengths, but one of our founders came from technology. And if you are in technology or you have been in technology or you know anything about technology, when you're testing websites and things of that nature, right? There's that what they call the A/B testing, right? Which
Mhm.
is like you put this and then you put this and you figure it out. Well, he really took that concept to build Crumble from scratch, and that's how they did the cookie. And Crumble started actually only with one cookie. It was a chocolate chip cookie, and they were trying to perfect that cookie. So there were many, many thousands of trials where they will take to the streets and pretty much do an A/B testing in either gas stations or whatever around them to ask the customers for feedback. And that's how they eliminated and came up with the perfect, recipe for the chocolate chip cookie. So everything that we do at Crumble, whether it is the product or the technology or whatever, we try to do the best that we can to do that same testing and ensure that we get the most feedback from our customers on just what they want, how they want it, and try to implement it. And like with anything, you may miss sometimes, but the key is into very quickly if some things fail in pivoting. When you talk about that balance and innovation, well, in order to innovate well, you have to do a lot of trial and error, which means you're
Mhm.
going to fail a lot too. So even just this year, we had so many new products that we created. And clearly, a lot of them failed, but a lot of them also succeeded. So, as just constantly, challenging yourself in what you're doing, in having to very quickly accept that not everything is going to be successful, even if you created it and you think it's fabulous.
Well, I love this idea, this concept of bringing like A/B testing into food. I love the idea of taking kind of a design principle and applying it into the food industry. Because at the end of the day, I mean, you guys mentioned it, but being customer centric and putting that customer at the center of everything you build, is such an important part, such an important innovation principle. And so being able to actually put things out in the market and try them and see what works and see what fails. I mean, that's such a core and beautiful principle of innovation, just to continue to push the boundaries, continue to see what's working and not working. And it's fascinating how you guys have brought that into the business model, but it makes sense when you said, "Hey, he's from a technology background." I mean, this is exactly right. The way that we're trained in technology, it's like try things, fail fast, see what makes sense, but ultimately put the customer at the center and make sure that they're constantly giving you feedback. It's really the only way to be successful long term.
Absolutely.
That's fun. So, okay, let's talk a little bit about, as you look ahead. I mean, obviously, you guys are trendsetters, you're really setting the trend. But as you look ahead and you think about the market and how it's shaping up, what are you guys thinking about in terms of innovation? Like, how are you thinking ahead about that within the Crumble land?
Yeah, so it's really hard, obviously, for anyone to predict what's going to happen in the future, right? Because a lot of people try to do that. We try to do that too. And sometimes what you think it's going to work doesn't work, and vice versa. But one of the biggest transitions that we had, even just this past year, was realizing that, there was more than just cookies. So you said Crumble cookies, that you may have seen, right? That we are transitioning into our new branding, which is really Crumble, right?
Yeah.
And our desire to see the customers through the lens of our vision, right? And we have a very important mission that is to bring friends and family together, right?
Mhm.
That's really is at the core of everything that we do. And of course, we have chosen to do that through desserts, right? Not just cookies anymore, but through desserts. But at the end of of everything, our vision really is to ensure that we help people create meaningful moments with those who matter most to them. I think that is such a powerful purpose that we all are really have hold our hands around it, because we know that at the end of our lives, if you really study, the biggest regret of all of us at the end of our lives is not that we made one more million or created a new product or whatever. It's really that we didn't spend enough time with our loved ones.
Mm.
So when I think about that, we pass any kind of thing that we're thinking about the future through that lens. So I hope that what that will give Crumble is that, hey, if tomorrow the entire thing changes and it's a whole different thing, then we will not be the people that were like Kodak, right? That we couldn't see that digital was coming and we said
Yeah.
no because maybe we were blinded by that. I hope that our purpose is big enough and our desire to create that for our customers so big that whatever may come next, we will adapt quickly. There are a lot of different trends. We do get a lot of feedback from customers about different kind of things regarding desserts. And of course, we will follow and continue to innovate for them.
Mhm.
But I think the path that we see is one of adaptability, ensuring that you're very close to the customer, listening, and decrease the operational complexity. Because as I told you, operating a combo is very complex. Changing the
Mhm.
menu every week is very complex. So those are really the things for the near future that we see, and always open to being surprised and having to pivot.
Wow, that's such a critical innovation principle that you just pulled forward there around just not being tied to one thing. I mean, we see that in the fact that this week, if you were to go out this week and look at your menu, because I just did this the other day, I mean, you've got the tres leche cake, little, version of that. You've got, I think it's like a brookie pie, which is like, a brownie cookie pie going on. So, I mean, it sounds like even within the realm of what you're providing, you're continuing to push the limits of what's possible and what do people want? What does the customer enjoy? And that's a really difficult thing to do, but I love it because it's in service of saying we want to live on, and in order to do that, we have to continuously improve. We have to continuously innovate.
Yeah, absolutely. And the customer has such a big say. Like, you may know or you may not know, but this year we've never done it before. This year also we created some innovations in partnership with celebrities. And I think that was listening to our customers and what they wanted. And also, having these incredible opportunities with, some celebrities that were so impactful. I mean, just a few weeks ago, we had a celebrity partnership with Jimmy Fallon as he launched his holiday album. And that was just so incredible, right? To think that this little tiny company that was founded in a super small town in Logan, Utah, will have such an amazing opportunity to be in such a national stage. And it was just such an amazing thing. And our customers have reacted so well to those things. As I said, you never know, right? Because really based on our vision to us, that's just, fits right in and was such an incredible opportunity. So as we continue on to 2025, maybe even more and better things will come our way.
Okay, so now I understand why Jimmy Fallon's face was all over your website last week. Makes total sense that that was part of the rollout and how powerful to, again, continue to innovate, continue to push the limits on what's possible and not to hold yourself to one area, but to really see you guys traverse across different areas, different media components. I think it's a real lesson in innovation and what innovation looks like. It makes me ask the question, what are some of the things that you guys look for when finding people that are like you? Like, what's the DNA or the makeup of being like, yep, that person's gonna do well here? Because I would imagine that people that are very set in their ways, it might be very hard for them to innovate along with you.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that is such a good question. And first, hiring is such an important thing of what we do. We have a very unique culture at Crumbl. It's an amazing culture, and it is a culture of really care, but also a culture of speed because we move so fast. And I always tell people the food industry is not for the faint of heart, but Crumbl even more because we really move super fast. And I know you go to other places where they tell you they move fast, but I really never been in a place where things can change so much, even in just one day, and have to pivot constantly. So we do look for people that hopefully, even if they're not the most adaptable, that they wouldn't resist that, right? And that
Mhm.
that they will be able to not feel, depleted when change happens because change is happening here all the time. So we always say that we want people here to come and be super happy because we do have a very fun environment, but we work really hard. So it's all about finding that balance and ensuring that we ask the right questions and that we not only interview candidates, that candidates can interview us. So we try to make sure that we're very authentic, we're very transparent as part of our culture. And we want to make sure that people, know exactly what they're getting into and vice versa, so that everybody here can be happy. There's nothing worse than hiring someone, right, and then having not be happy,
Right.
because then we know it creates issues on both sides.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I would imagine I just kind of see a very unique profile for someone that can come into this environment and just thrive because it's such an incredible, just innovative, fast moving environment. Well, I'd love to know, maybe just from some leadership principles that you've learned from your career. You have such an incredible career. What I love about your career is you've traversed different industries, different seasons, different types of business models. So you have all this just rich learning. What would you say are some principles that you would pull forward either from leadership that you've learned or just from innovation?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think when it comes to leader, I really have learned that no matter what you do, at least until today, right, until the machines take over our lives, it is all about people.
Wow.
No matter what great ideas you have, you cannot do anything alone. So to me, the most important thing is to really ensure that you are very clear on exactly what you said. What kind of people are you looking for? And then that you really care for them, develop them, and grow them so that you can all thrive together. And for me, I think that's why culture is so important, right? It's not a joke that they say that culture is strategy for breakfast. I always joke when people have told me about the great brands that I have had the privilege of working for, and they tell me, oh, they must have a perfect strategy. And I'm like, oh my God, if you pull the curtain, I mean, strategy, I love strategy, but I think it's an overused word, is sometimes not really well understood. I think at the end, it's all about the people that you have and the actions that you take every day to ensure that your people know how much you care about them. I learned through my career, and that you can be really smart, but nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. So I think it is just so important. Everything to me starts and ends with people.
I love that. Yeah, we talk a lot about results and relationships and how, some people are really great at results, but are terrible at relationships. Some people are amazing at relationships and terrible at results. And that's the tension that a leader has to traverse, especially an innovative leader, to say, how can I deliver results, but also create really great relationships? Because to your point, The results don't matter if you left a wake behind you in order to get to those results, right? Like, so you have to manage that tension of both. And it becomes such a critical part, I think, of, as you grow in leadership and learn and just evolve, you realize, man, you gotta have both. You can't have one without the other. So I think that's such an important insight. Any final thoughts that you would leave us with today?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, I want to congratulate you because I just watching the growth of your own podcast and just how many, people listen to it and all of that. What I was just going to say is, I think in the world of innovation, the best thing that you can do, and you've mentioned this before, is be a continuous learner, be
Mhm.
open minded. But with innovation, you won't know anything until you try.
Yeah.
It is all about the action. So you can have great ideas, right? Even
Mhm.
businesses, you can have great ideas, but if you cannot put them into action, you're never going to know if they were great ideas or no. And so many innovative companies that have succeeded are all about their learnings are all about they took action. And that's the difference between the people that get into doing something and succeeding because either they took action and failed and learned something or they were successful. So to me, when I think about anyone listening out there, is action is the key to innovation so that you can continue to learn and grow.
Man, I love that final thought. That is such a beautiful final thought. I talk to people every day that want to go out and do something big and bold, and they have a lot of great ideas, but they're afraid to pull the trigger. So I think you're speaking to a specific group of people, as you mentioned, that it's, 2025 might be their year to leap and just to go out there and try some new things, try some things you've never tried before. Well, Grace, where can people find and follow you?
I am in LinkedIn, so they can obviously follow me there. I love to connect with anyone that would like to connect with me or just that wants to follow me. That is the social media of my preference. I'm active there. So yeah, I would love to connect with anyone. And I don't know if you'll share my profile. If not, but if not, you can find me either by Grace Chadwick or Graciela Chadwick. Either way, you'll find me there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. This has been an absolute blast.
Natalie, thanks for inviting me. It's been such an honor, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week.
Thank you. Well, to our listeners, thank you for joining the Innovation Meets Leadership podcast. Remember, don't just get out of the box, break the box and set it on fire. Let's go transform something.
Thank you for joining us for the Innovation Meets Leadership podcast. Be sure to subscribe to our show on iTunes. Follow us on Instagram or Facebook at Innovation Meets Leadership, and visit our site at innovationmeetsleadership.com for more innovation resources.
Hey, my new book is out, Set It on Fire, The Art of Innovation. Click on the link to learn more. And don't just get out of the box, break the box and set it on fire. Let's go transform something.